Here is the executive summary of what Carbon is and how it works. Carbon is a decentralized trading protocol custom-made to maximize user control. Carbon facilitates sophisticated trading strategies on any standard asset on Ethereum in a way that is safe, easy, and automated. Orders on Carbon can be linked together to create strategies. For instance, a user could choose to set a limit order for ETH at 1300 USD and a limit order to sell that ETH at 1800 USD, and then elect to link those orders together, which means that successful buy orders for ETH are automatically placed into the sell order, and successful sell orders into USD are automatically placed into the buy order. This creates a trading strategy that is recurring, and once set up, it's completely automated. The price of ETH could spend the next year moving between $1,000 and $2,000, and this strategy would buy the lows and sell the highs according to the orders in it. Carbon has a new type of order as well, range orders. Range orders are a kind of concentrated liquidity that buys and sells assets over a range. And just like with limit orders, they can be linked together. This range order starts spending USD to buy ETH at 1400 and keeps buying ETH all the way down to 1100 and starts selling ETH at 1600 and keeps selling ETH up to 1800. Again, these orders are linked, which means that when one is bought, it automatically allocates those assets into the sell order, and when one is sold, it automatically allocates assets back into the buy order. Carbon matches makers with takers according to its open source matchmaking engine. All of the orders that we've discussed so far are aggregated through our open source SDK, which means that traders who wish to use Carbon without taking up long-term positions, people like arbitrageurs, apes, and panic sellers, they'll have the exact same experience buying and selling on Carbon as they do from any other DEX or centralized order book. Dr. Mark Richardson invented and then patented a new kind of decentralized exchange. Is it an AMM? Is it an order book? Well, from the perspective of market makers, Carbon will probably feel more like an AMM. You set ranges, deposit liquidity, get tokenized receipts, and then you sit back and watch your strategy go to work. But from the trader's perspective, Carbon will probably feel more like an order book, with varying liquidity ranges and the ability to take specific offers. But on a technical level, Carbon is something totally new. Carbon is a decentralized trading protocol where you get to decide what's being done with your money. And the rest of this video is just a deep dive into how Carbon works, why it was made, and where it fits into the greater crypto market. I'm Joshua Schoen, and if you're watching this, there's a decent chance that you are on Twitter, Telegram, Discord, or maybe even at a crypto conference, and you asked the question, how does Carbon work? The UI is not final, the release date's not final, but the math and the core ideas are. They've already been patented, and we're going to talk about them in a way that everybody should be able to understand. So, we're going to start nice and easy. Vocabulary. Timestamps in the description for people who want to skip ahead. CeFi order books, DeFi AMMs, market makers, market takers, the bonding curve, constant product liquidity, and concentrated liquidity. We are going to define each of these terms, how they work together, and then how all of this applies to Carbon. Centralized financial institutions run order books. Order books are a way to buy and sell assets. This is the Coinbase order book. Without overanalyzing, the orders that are in this book basically fall into one of four categories. Wait to sell high, wait to buy low, sell right now, and buy right now. You can see the people waiting to buy and sell right here. There are actual orders in this order book. Down in the bottom middle, there is a graphical representation of these orders. On the right are the red sell orders. The red sell orders are not evenly distributed, and the fact that they aren't evenly distributed is important. It's an idea that will come up again later. The part of the red sell orders, which is the smallest, has the least amount of liquidity. There are less sell orders at this price over here than at this price over there. Same deal with the green buy orders. On the right, they are listed. At the bottom middle, they are graphically displayed. In this ETH USD chart, there are people waiting to buy ETH with USD. And there are people trying to sell ETH for USD. Here in the middle, in this space, right here, if you zoom in, there is no one buying or selling ETH. there's a gap. And this gap is the difference between the highest buy offer, called the bid price, and the lowest sell offer, called the ask price. And so the gap is the bid-ask spread, but most people just call it the spread. The actual numerical value of the spread is displayed here on the right in the order book, between the buys and sells. If you have ETH and you're willing to wait to sell it, you can be like all of these people and put in an order to sell your ETH at a specific price. And these folks don't care about the spread because they're willing to wait to get their order filled. But if you have ETH and you want to sell it right now, the spread becomes really important. If you want to sell right now, then you're going to have to sell to this user. And if you've got a lot of ETH, you might fill their order and then have to sell to the next person down. Essentially, the spread is just another fee that the trader must pay in order to get their desires met immediately. Same deal if you want to buy right now. You have to buy from this person, and you have to pay the spread going the other way. So it doesn't matter if you're buying or selling. The person who wants their order filled right now pays the cost of the spread. I'll say this again because it's really important. It doesn't matter if you're buying or selling. If you want to do it right now, you have to pay the spread. People who want their order filled immediately, those who pay the spread, are called market takers. People who are willing to wait to have their order filled, those who don't care about the spread, are called market makers. And again, it doesn't matter if you're buying or selling. What matters is if you're willing to wait. And all of this shows up in Carbon, by the way. So, makers are the people who offer to buy and sell assets. And very often they do this at the same time. Yeah, this position right here, offering to buy ETH, that might be the same user as over there who's trying to sell ETH. And these offers aren't fake. Some maker out there really has 25K sitting in Coinbase waiting to buy 25 ETH at $1,000 a piece. For this order to be real, the users who want to buy ETH on the cheap have to provide liquidity. And they don't care about the spread because they're willing to wait. Again, the market maker who is offering to buy ETH is providing liquidity in the form of USD, and that might be the same person over here who is offering to sell ETH for USD. Coinbase has to ensure that these orders are real and requires users to provide liquidity to them. And side note here, whenever any of these orders are filled, the makers pay the institution that runs the order book a small fee. And I know I'm being a little bit repetitive here, but in a second we're going to talk about something that looks totally different, but is actually the exact same thing. So, makers don't care about the spread, but takers do. Taker fees go to the institutions that run the order book. And the spread essentially goes to the maker who got their order filled. So if a taker has 10,000 USD and they want to buy ETH right now, then they cover the spread, pay the taker fee to the institution, and at the end of the day, they probably end up with $9,950 worth of ETH. So they're missing about 0.5% of the value that they started with, but now they have their preferred asset. And the spread to buy 10 ETH is different than the spread to sell 10 ETH because no one can force market makers to create symmetrical buy and sell orders. But what if there was a way to guarantee what the spread will be? What if we could get all the market makers together and automate the way that they provide liquidity? This would be really desirable to traders because it would ensure that liquidity is continuous and consistent in both directions. Automated market makers automate the spread. AMMs take the money that market makers have and distribute it symmetrically along a bonding curve. In traditional order books, there are fees paid to the institution that run the order book, but automated market makers are automated. They don't need to pay anyone to run them. So now the makers can come to this AMM, deposit their capital, and there's no maker fee charged by the institution, and the taker fee and the spread are now given to the market maker. And that's what liquidity pools are. This is the reason you need to provide equal amounts of value in two token types when you make a standard or concentrated liquidity pool, because you need to ensure there are equal amounts of value on both sides of the pool so the spread can be the same. Each of the pools in these AMMs has a trade fee. That trade fee is literally the spread. Here's what it looks like, by the way. Yeah, you can see it right there. That gap. In a Uni V2 pool, this is what a 1% trade fee looks like. And this is what a 1% trade fee looks like in the Uni V3 pool. The market makers here are hoping to provide liquidity that will earn them trade fees, and the idea is that these trade fees will make them money. Now, there are a couple of problems here. One, these liquidity pools, which are smart contracts, aren't actually that smart. The features they have are really, really limited. You always have to accept buy orders and you always have to accept sell orders. That user earlier who was buying ETH at 1,000 and selling at 2,000, yeah, that doesn't really happen here. The automated market maker ensures that all the liquidity in the protocol is available at whatever the current price is. You don't have any control over the kind of trades that are being made with your money. Now, on Uniswap v3, with concentrated liquidity, if you provide liquidity in the smallest possible tick range, you can kind of make something that looks a lot like a limit order from a centralized order book. But it's not really a true limit order. If the market crosses that price threshold and your order gets filled, you have to withdraw immediately, or else the trade is reversible. If the market swings back down before you pull your liquidity out, then the trade just gets reversed. There's no guarantee your trade won't be reversed either. Ethereum kinda has a real centralization and censorship problem right now. About 70% of the blocks on ETH have some form of censorship in them. And if you think that getting your money out of these concentrated liquidity pools is going to be easy, as simple as clicking a button, good luck. You will need it. The profitability of concentrated liquidity platforms is determined by the code, the trade volume, and the market sentiment. But for many users, whether they end up actually being in the green or in the red is determined by the validators who order the transactions on the blockchain. And this problem is so common that there's a name for this kind of manipulation: MEV, maximum extractable value. And MEV is any situation where the validator who organizes the block changes the regular order of transactions to benefit themselves in some way. And a thing that can happen, that does happen, is that one of these orders is about to be withdrawn and it will be reversed in the block in which it's withdrawn, which would never happen in a centralized exchange, right? Like the idea that you could buy 100K worth of ETH and then someone just undoes that buy, that's absurd. But it happens all the time in these passive liquidity positions. And the reason this is possible is because these concentrated liquidity AMMs are just a slight variation on the standard bonding curve model. It's a bunch of people who deposit their capital, pick a range inside of the bonding curve, and then the AMM part is just that the ranges are automatically aggregated into something continuous that traders can use. Check out these graphs. This is Uni V2, and look how similar the representation of capital is to the order book model. As the price goes up and down, the Uni V2 model keeps moving liquidity around and earning fees.
Here's the same model again, with the same spread, with the same trade fees, except on Uni V3. The big change here is that Uni V3 earns more fees, but it's also subject to way more impermanent loss. At the end of the Uni V2 simulation, the biggest losses were about -3%, and the biggest gains were about break even. But on Uni V3, the biggest losses were -8%, and the biggest gains were about +10%. So increasing the earnings relative to HODL from 0% to 10% is no trivial thing. It's really good.
But please understand, it's not a thing that happens for free. The cost of those extra fees is greater risks to loss through IL and greater risk to loss through MEV. And studies show that most of the time, between IL and MEV, the people who use these AMMs are not making nearly as much money as they hope to. And other times, they're just straight up negative compared to HODLing. Okay, so what have we learned so far? Well, 1, in the order book model, aggregating limit orders set by makers creates a reliable liquidity source that takers need. But institutions that run these order books create unnecessary overhead, and the variation in the spread is something takers would rather just go away. And order books are run by centralized institutions, and they haven't had a good year. So it's bad year for centralized institutions, so maybe don't use them. 2. Regular, unconcentrated, constant product liquidity pools are typically forks of UniV2, and the market makers have their capital automatically allocated according to the bonding curve. The automated market makers have no overhead, which reduces the cost for the makers and the takers, and the spread being automated means that traders will have even more confidence with what their future trades will look like. Furthermore, the spread is now recharacterized as purely a trading fee, and the makers get that trade fee and no overhead, and takers have a constant trade fee and no overhead. The problem is, automated market makers, in their traditional sense, the UniV2 forks, don't have any real place for nuance. There are no limit orders, so LPs can't choose what's being done with their money. It would be nice if there was a way to provide liquidity while maintaining control over how that liquidity is used. 3. In the UniV3 model, you have more control over what's being done with your money. For example, if you set your liquidity range tight enough, then you can kind of simulate a limit order. But that order is reversible, and MEV is a frequent thing, and there are just like a bunch of these problems, and it's not a real limit order. But if things go well for you, it's pretty good. So the idea of concentrated liquidity is good, but we need a way to make sure that limit order style trades aren't reversed, and we need a way to stop MEV from taking away all of this money that would be earned by regular users. And if you still don't actually quite get what MEV is, there's a link in the description. All right, let's put this all together. Makers want their orders filled at specific ranges, and they don't want to pay fees to centralized institutions to do so. Takers want to be able to make trades right now with as small a spread as possible, and they also don't want to pay fees to centralized institutions. Older AMMs fix the problems of spread and fees, but the makers who participate in these AMMs don't have any control. Modern AMMs have more control, no overhead, more fees, and less spread. But the limit orders aren't real limit orders. They're reversible, meaning that anyone with quick fingers, or bots, and sufficient money to pay for gas will get to have control. And a lot of the fees that would be earned by makers are instead given to bots who perform MEV through validators. So, we need a decentralized trading protocol that has the ability to create true, non-reversible limit orders on-chain, and match the makers of those limit orders to takers. This DEX also needs to be able to create standard and concentrated liquidity pools, and provide a way for traders to have access to all of those bonding curves and limit orders. We need this DEX to also be able to create single directional buying and selling curves so that users who want a passive LP position can decide how the market maker is using their money. Carbon is a decentralized trading protocol that maximizes user control. You can set true limit orders on Carbon. They aren't reversible. Carbon collects these orders and matches them via our open source matchmaking engine, just like an order book, except there's transparency about the routing. But also, on Carbon, you can create standard and concentrated liquidity positions, and those orders are also collected alongside the limit orders and provided to traders through the matchmaking engine. All of this together is turned into trading liquidity for market takers to interact with. And that is just the start. You can link these orders together, and linking orders together, that is the secret sauce of Carbon. All the rest of this stuff is cool and useful, but the thing that makes Carbon truly special is the ability to link orders together. You can link a limit order to a limit order, or a range order to a range order, or range to limit, or limit to range. And you don't even have to link orders. You can still do true one-way limit orders or one-way range orders. But linked orders are the real big innovation here. So let's look at what linking orders actually does. Okay, so here's how it goes. Bob has to have some starting capital. It can be ETH, USDC, USDT, or Wrapped Bitcoin, whatever. Literally any and every ERC20 token on Ethereum will work. But we want this example to be simple, so we're going to have Bob start with 5,000 USDC. And Bob is going to buy ETH with that USDC. Bob has not one, but two limit orders. These are linked limit orders which create a strategy. The first limit order is to buy ETH at 1300 USDC per ETH. The next limit order is to sell ETH at 1800 USDC per ETH. Let's watch this strategy happen. The starting balance is 5,000 USDC. We see that at the top middle. The price of ETH goes downwards and the limit buy is filled. This limit buy right here is not reversible. You don't have to withdraw your liquidity or change your range or any of that stuff. The order is filled, and the only way for someone to get that 3.84 ETH is to pay 1800 USDC per ETH according to the strategy. This is one strategy with two orders. One strategy that is made from a limit buy and a limit sell that are linked together. So what about the second limit order, that limit sell at 1800? Well, the ETH that we just bought is automatically placed into the other order for it to be used. And when ETH goes up, Carbon matches takers to your limit sell, and there you have it. Profit. We started with 5K USDC, and now we have 6,912 USDC. Except remember, these strategies are still linked. When the ETH is sold for USDC, that USDC is automatically placed in the other order. Again. And if ETH dips down, we spend all of the capital in that order on ETH. And now we have 5.31 ETH. Price goes up, and we sell 9,558 USDC. Price goes down, we buy 7.35 ETH. Price goes up, we sell. End balance of 13,230 USDC. And this strategy just keeps going. It just keeps going until you tell it to stop. And the only time you have to spend gas in this whole example is when you made the strategy. All of the buying and selling and the linking of orders doesn't have any gas cost associated for the maker. The person who makes the strategy really only pays gas when they deposit, withdraw, or change the order somehow. So this is great. If you're a market maker who wants to only provide liquidity and make money, this is the only place where you can create a strategy like this. And there's more. You can create linked strategies through range orders. Here's what that looks like. Instead of picking a single price point to buy and sell, you pick a range. In this example, we tell Carbon to take our 5K USDC, and we set that buying curve up so that all of our USDC will be spent if the price goes down to 1100. Now, the UI for this is going to be really simple. It's not finished right now, but you really only need to tell Carbon how much you have to start with, and then two numbers, which are your top and bottom for the buy range, and then two more numbers, which are the top and bottom for your sell range. So check it out. Exact same idea. 5K USDC to start with, and when the price of ETH goes down, we start to buy. And when the price of ETH goes up, that's not reversed. Let's rewind that and look at it again. The price of ETH goes down. We start buying. And then when the price of ETH goes back up, nothing. Nothing happens. Remember, this strategy only sells ETH if it's between 1,600 and 1,800. So now the price goes up to our actual value, and then we start selling. And look what happens when it goes down. Nothing. Because we already told Carbon that this strategy only buys ETH between 1,100 and
1,400.
And at the top you can see that. Again, these orders are linked. Only when the price of ETH goes down to our specified range, that's when we buy. And only when ETH goes up to our specified range do we sell. And if you want to see all these animations in one place, I have a Medium article that'll be linked in the description. This one isn't animated, but you can link range orders to limit orders and limit orders to range orders. You can also have all of these things as standalones. Orders don't have to be linked. You can just create a strategy with one order. So if you just want to limit buy, you can do that. If you just want to limit sell, you can do that. A range buy or a range sell, a standalone, you can do that too. And that's Carbon.
Yeah, we're actually not done. Remember this graph earlier from the concentrated liquidity section? This is actually only 1/4 of a larger picture because we built an entire simulator where you can download price data from CoinGecko, pick ranges, and then test your own personal strategy against historical data, and it will give you results for how your strategy would have performed in UniV2, UniV3, and Carbon. And let me tell you right now, you are not ready for how much Carbon outperforms these other protocols. So next time, it's going to be all about the Carbon strategy simulator and how Carbon performs compared to the current market paradigm. See you then.